Hello everyone! Some of you may have heard the news already, but in case you haven't, yesterday sometime around 9:30 p.m. Central European Time, my channel reached 200,000 subscribers. Now you all know what that means. It means a very nice stream, a nice Lee chess arena, some prizes, some giveaways, some chess jokes, of course, some guests on the stream, and of course a very nice Tal game. Now I wanted to show this game plenty of times. I was tempted to show it, but I always thought, no, it's better to wait. You know, better. Let the channel grow, and then more and more people can see this game. So I mean, I could wait a bit longer, but I think now is as good time as any to show it. It's a game from 1987. It was played in a tournament in Reykjavik. Here Mikhail with the white pieces faces Johann Hjartarson. And although I couldn't find a photo of the two of them playing, I did find a photo that the two of them shared with three other very strong grandmasters. So I will use this photo to show it to you. There's Hjartarson and Tal on the right, but I'm also going to use this for a photo challenge. You are more than welcome to try and identify the remaining three grandmasters on this photo. So best of luck to everyone. And now, a lot of you may never have heard of Johann Hjartarson, but in 1987 he was in fact a very strong player. He was in top form, as he did win the interzonal tournament. He tied for first place, and then he qualified for the 1988 candidates tournament, where he eliminated Viktor Korchnoi from the tournament, and then in the quarterfinals lost to Anatoly Karpov. And here I did find that this is FIDE's rating list from January 1989, so it's after the candidates tournament. There you can see that Hjartarson Johann is number 11 in the world regarding the rating, and Mikhail Tal is number 19 in the world. So just wanted to put that a little bit into perspective, but this is played in 1987, where Hjartarson is a young grandmaster. He just received his grandmaster title in 1985, so already has his title for 2 years, and he's rated somewhere around 2550. So that being said, let's check out this very nice game. Tal opens the game with e4, we have e5, knight to f3, and knight to c6. Tal goes for bishop to b5, of course, the Ruy Lopez. And it's very interesting, this game will be, first 20 moves are pretty much aligned from the book, but then the game really, you know, opens up. We have a6, Morphy's defense, bishop a4, knight to f6. We have castles, bishop to e7, rook to e1, b5, bishop to b3, all standard theory. We have castles, c3, d6, h3, knight to a5, bishop to c2, and now c5. We have d4 by Tal, queen to c7, knight to d2, we have bishop to d7, preparing rook c8, knight to f1, preparing knight to e3, we have pawn captures, and now rook to c8, with tempo immediately threatening queen captures the bishop on c2. We have knight to e3, defending the bishop, and now comes knight to c6, pressuring the d4 pawn, but also preparing knight b4 to further pressure the bishop on c2. We have d5 by Tal, knight to b4, and now bishop to b1, getting the bishop out of the way, and now a5 immediately. The knight is very strong on b4, so of course Tal pushes it back. A5 was played to make room for the knight on a6, knight to a6, and now b4. b4, a very nice move by Tal, seemingly offering a pawn here, but not really. If you try to grab a pawn here, you would lose this knight due to bishop to d2 trapping it. The knight has nowhere to go. Even if you defend it, queen c5 defending it, queen b3, and now the knight really doesn't have anywhere to go. A6 is guarded by the rook, c6 by the pawn, and the d3 by the bishop, of course, and c2 by the queen, bishop, and knight on e3. So this would lose you a piece. Hjartarson goes for g6. We have bishop to d2. We have a captures on b4, a captures on b4, and queen to b7. We have bishop to d3. Now, queen to b7, notice that, sorry about going back, the rook and queen are really controlling the c-file nicely. But Tal's bishops, although they don't look really active, they are creating a nice wall here on the c-file, and black can't really use the c-file to exert any pressure. So we have queen to b7, bishop to d3, now comes knight to c7, knight to c2, and now knight to h5. Bishop to e3 by Tal, and now rook to a8. We have queen to d2, connecting rooks. Rook captures on a1, and now rook captures on a1 would be an automatic for pretty much everyone, but Tal plays knight captures on a1. He wants to bring the knight to b3 to a5 and all the way to c6. But he does allow some nice counterplay by black by doing this, and he has to be very careful. Here Hjartarson immediately goes for f5. We have bishop to h6 attacking the rook, knight goes back to g7, and now knight to b3. Tal simply continues with his plan of bringing the knight to c6. We have f4, now closing up the position, knight to a5, queen to b6, and now comes rook to c1, with the threat, of course, knight to c6, and then bishop captures will be pretty much useless, as the rook is guarding it from c1. Rook to a8, and now first, before playing knight to c8, first Tal improves the position, queen to c2. We have knight to e8, and now queen to b3. We have bishop to f6. Bishop to f6 is a good move, but pretty much the only move. After Tal played queen to b3, there really is no good move here for black. Although white is slightly better, you know, as Tal does control more space. And although there's really no threat at the moment, okay, knight captures on e5 followed by d6 could be a threat, but bishop to f6 stops it. But there really is no move you can play here with the black pieces. The bishop has nowhere to go, the knight really nowhere to go. It can go to h5, but that's not really a square you want to use for your knight. And not really, you can't really make out a useful plan for black here. So bishop to f6, preventing from any knight captures on e5 ideas. Now comes knight to c6, and now knight to h5. You do have to try and organize your pieces somehow. So knight to h5, preparing bishop to g7 to at least get rid of Tal's strong bishop on h6. As we've said, capturing the knight here doesn't really make all that much sense. D captures on c6 now comes with check after we move the king. Queen e6 is coming, and black is completely shattered here. You can't move the knight, it's pinned, you can't move this knight, then queen captures on f6 is coming, and there's really not all that much you can do. The c pawn is gonna be pushed, so this would be terrible for black. So here knight to h5, and here Tal really starts... here Tal brings out his magic wand and he starts preparing the stage. Here Tal plays queen to b2, and to really understand queen to b2 you really have to see what happens and see how far Tal's imagination goes. Here Hjartarson of course plays bishop to g7 as he did prepare it with knight to h5. Tal exchanges bishops, bishop captures, king captures, and now notice that the queen from b2 is now on the same diagonal as the king on g7. And here you might think, okay, it's Tal, he's probably gonna play knight captures on e5 and it's game over. Well, not really. If you play knight captures on e5 and d captures on e5, queen captures on e5 with check, after king to g8, there's really no good way to continue your attack and you are down a piece. White is still better here, but... There's no clear win here. After knight d7 check, king f8, you're really not achieving much. Queen here will completely stop white's attack, and there's really no way to pursue anything here. White would have to go back, and then black will just move the king back and say, okay, what have you done here? Instead, here after king to g7, I want you to pause the video here and try to find a very nice Tal move that Tal played in this game. So I will give it a couple of seconds as usual. For those of you who were able to find it, congratulations, the magic wand has chosen you. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, here Tal played rook to c5. Rook to c5 is a very nice move, definitely a Tal move, and well, what's the idea behind it? First, we must ask ourselves the obvious. What happens if d captures on c5? If d captures on c5, obviously the e5 pawn is no longer protected. Then comes knight f captures on e5, threatening all sorts of discoveries, such as knight captures on d7, followed by capturing the queen. Even if you capture with the bishop, still knight d7 wins the queen. So here you would have to move the queen, and then after knight captures on d7 with check, you'd have to block it. Then comes knight captures on c5, attacking the queen. And after queen a1 check, which is pretty much forced, queen captures, rook captures, and after king h2, getting out of check, you would get rook to e1, now attacking the pawn, preventing it from being pushed forward. But here, Tal would be down the exchange, but with d6, it pretty much wins the game. You have to capture it, and then e5 wins a piece. You have knight moves, captures, captures, and here black has no compensation with knight and bishop against the rook. Another thing after this rook to c5, you could say, okay, I'm not touching that. What happens if bishop captures on c6? Also, not bad for black, but still, rook captures, queen has to move, and then bishop captures on b5. You just lost a very important pawn, and black has no counterplay. You can exchange queens, okay, but after king moves and rook to b1, rook to c4 will defend the b4 pawn, the bishop will move, and then the b pawn will slowly but surely win the game. So you can't really afford that. So after rook to c5, Hjartarson immediately played queen to a6. Not allowing any discoveries after knight captures on e5. Here we have rook captures on b5. Now, if the rook moves, there will be a discovery towards the black queen. So what do you do here? If you play bishop captures on c6, again you get d captures, queen captures, and here, although the material on the board is equal, it's 5 pawns each. It's a passed b pawn, and it would be very hard to stop this pawn. But perhaps it wasn't such a bad idea to try this and maybe hope for some passive position that white cannot break through. But okay, after rook to b5, Hjartarson tried knight to c7 with the idea that now the rook has to move. But what Tal played, definitely Hjartarson did not expect. Here, Tal played rook to b8. What's the idea of rook to b8? Well, the idea is very simple. Tal wants the rook to control the entire last rank, so the king can't go back with f8, g8, or h8. Another thing Tal did here is that he opened up a discovered attack from the bishop to the queen. So now you have pretty much two choices. You can either decide to capture the bishop, or you could go for something like queen to a3, offer a trade, and after queen captures, king captures, attacking the bishop, bishop to f1. Still, you have the passed b pawn, and you're not gonna have much fun stopping it. And if bishop captures on c6, then Tal will even have two passed pawns. So not really an option here. Hjartarson captures the bishop, which is the strongest move recommended by the engine. He plays queen captures on d3, and now comes Tal's idea. And now you you can see that all the variations Tal had to see when he played queen to b2, now Tal plays knight c captures on e5. The queen is under attack, but also now the only thing that was standing between the queen on b2 and the king on g7, this e5 pawn, is no longer there. Capturing it loses immediately to queen captures on e5 with check. The rook now controls the entire last rank. After you block this, simply queen e7 check, king moves, and after queen f8 check, king moves, queen captures on f6, and there is no defense against queen to g5 checkmate, whatever black plays. So after this knight c captures on e5, we have queen to d1 check. Okay, king to h2 by Tal, and now comes rook to a1, and all of a sudden it's actually Hjartarson who is threatening mate in 1 with queen to h1 checkmate. But here, unfortunately for Hjartarson, Tal has a forced checkmate. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find the series of moves Tal played that made Hjartarson resign the game. So I will give it a couple of seconds as usual. Try to do it. It's a very nice idea. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations. The magic wand really likes you, and for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, if you found knight captures on d7 with the discovered check, the wand did not choose you, as after king to h6, black defends. Now there is no defense for white against queen to h1 checkmate. There is no good way to continue the attack here, and white would simply have to give up the queen to stop checkmate, and now it's actually Tal who doesn't have compensation for the queen. So after this rook to a1 move, here Tal played knight to g4, and if you found this, then you have the right idea. Now black is without a move. You can start by giving away material, queen d4, knight f6, but those moves don't really make sense. So Hjartarson played the only move he could, king to f7. Here Tal played knight to h6 check. Notice that the king doesn't have anywhere to go. The queen is controlling the diagonal, the rook is controlling the last rank, and the pawn is controlling d6. So the only move Hjartarson can make is king to e7. Here Tal played knight to g8 check, and it was in this position on move 43 that Johann Hjartarson resigned the game. He did not wait for king back to f7 and knight to g5, which would deliver checkmate. Notice it's really a beautiful position. The queen, ever since Tal played queen b2 on that move that we've mentioned, the queen remained there and, doing nothing but controlling this diagonal. Not even controlling the diagonal. First, a couple of moves had to be played, so Tal would remove the e5 pawn, but to do that he had to give up some material. But it's beautiful. Queen controlling this diagonal, rook controlling the last rank, and the knights delivering checkmate. A beautiful position and a beautiful game by the magician Mikhail Tal. So yeah, a wonderful game, and I was really waiting a long time to show it, so I do hope you enjoyed it. It was played in 1987, the year I was born, actually. And I did prepare... these are the final standings after the 1987 tournament in Reykjavik. Tal won second place. As you can see, the tournament was won by Nigel Short, 1 full point ahead of Tal and Timan. And here, as you can see, Johann Hjartarson, we've said it correctly, 2555 rating in 10th place, behind 9th place Ljubomir Ljubojevic. So yeah, very nice, and for those of you who may be interested, Johann Hjartarson was aged 24 then, now he's aged 55, still one of the strongest grandmasters in Iceland, and he won the Iceland Championship 5 times and the Nordic Championship 2 times, so very nice. To my knowledge, he's still doing well. So it would maybe it would be a nice idea to someday get his perspective of the game. So yeah, once again, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. And now on to the rules of the giveaway and about the stream. So as I haven't streamed in a while, I will do a stream today, somewhere around. It will be a test stream. Like the stream will last 2 hours, but I will make a tournament on Lichess, maybe lasting an hour and 15 minutes, just to test everything out and see if I still remember how to stream. So you're all welcome to attend my tournament, but the real tournament and the stream will start tomorrow. Tomorrow at 1900 or 7 p.m. Central European Summer Time. I will put all of the important information about it in the description below. So the tournament will last the stream will last 4 hours as usual. First, there will be a 2-hour tournament on Lichess. It will be a Lichess Arena 2+0 with a prize fund of $1,000. And all of the details about the tournament will also be there. Then we're gonna play some games. You're all welcome to challenge me. I will be joined by Jan Almighty and a couple of other guests, so you will be able to play some games against us. As usual, prepare the best chess jokes, so you can share them with us and we can share them publicly. And hopefully we're gonna have a good time. And for the giveaway, I'm of course giving away yet again 2 championship chess sets, which will be the winners of the giveaway will be chosen in real time at the end of my stream, or maybe in the middle, we'll see. And also 10 Amazon gift cards valued at $25 each. So that's basically it. Hope to see you, as many of you today in my test stream, but I hope to see really all of you tomorrow in the real stream. It's 7 p.m. Central European time, Central European Summer Time, I believe that's the term. So hopefully all of you can make it. Once again, thank you everyone for helping me reach this amazing milestone of 200,000 subscribers. And like I already mentioned in my social media, hopefully we will grow even further and together increase our vast knowledge. So yeah, I think I've said everything. I will mention everything in the details. So I really hope I mentioned everything important about this game. So yeah, I would like to thank Gregor Stavrona, William Fusco, Morgan Burns, and Dan O'Hanlon for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check all my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon with another interesting game. And you know, the test stream is today. Do join.